Welcome, everyone. I am pleased to introduce the Modern Git Playbook, a session dedicated to mastering professional workflows and history management. In today's fast-paced development landscape, maintaining a clean and linear project history is essential for effective collaboration and long-term maintainability. This presentation, brought to you by Pastel Technical Editorial, focuses on modern Git practices available in versions 2.23 and above. We will explore the strategies necessary to refine your version control habits, ensuring your repository remains organized and your team stays productive as your projects scale. When setting the foundation for your development environment, identity configuration is your first step. Git operates on a hierarchy where local configurations override global ones, allowing you to manage different identities for different projects seamlessly. For your general setup, you will typically run the global configuration once per machine. By using the git config-global command, you establish a default name and email address, such as a personal account, that will apply to all your repositories. However, there are many scenarios where you need a specific identity for a single project, such as using a company email for work-related tasks. In these cases, you navigate into the specific project folder and use the git config-local flag. This specific setting will only apply to that repository, superseding the global default. Finally, you can always verify which identity is currently active within a directory by running git config user.email. This ensures that your contributions are always attributed to the correct account. To understand how Git tracks changes, we need to look at its three primary stages: the working directory, the staging area, and the repository. The process begins in the working directory, which represents the files you are currently editing on your local machine. Once you have made changes that you want to include in your next snapshot, you use the git add command. This moves those specific files into the staging area, often referred to as the draft zone. This intermediate step is crucial because it allows you to selectively choose exactly which modifications are ready to be captured. When you are satisfied with your selection, you execute the git commit command. This final step moves the stage changes into the repository, where they become part of a permanent, searchable history of commits. The key insight to remember is that Git provides the flexibility to pick specific files from your working directory to move into staging before they are permanently recorded in the project history. Historically, the git checkout command was heavily overloaded, performing multiple distinct tasks that often led to confusion. With the introduction of Git version 2.23, more precise tools were established to separate these responsibilities. To create and switch to a new branch, we have moved from the old git checkout-b syntax to the clearer git switch-c command. For simply transitioning between existing branches, such as moving to main, git switch is now the preferred modern standard. Furthermore, the task of undoing local changes to a file, which previously required a confusing double-dash syntax with checkout, is now handled by the more intuitive git restore command. As illustrated in the terminal example, this modern workflow allows you to switch branches, pull the latest updates, and instantly spin up a new feature branch with concise, purpose-built commands. This separation of concerns makes the Git command line more predictable and easier to master. Achieving a clean synchronization in Git is best handled through the git pull-rebase command. When we use a standard pull, which defaults to a merge strategy, we often end up with what is known as spaghetti history, a cluttered web of unnecessary merge commits that makes the project timeline difficult to follow. By choosing to rebase instead, Git takes your local changes and reapplies them on top of the latest work from the server. This results in the linear history shown on the right, keeping your commit log clean and chronological. The gold standard command for this practice is git pull-rebase origin followed by your specific branch name. To streamline your workflow, you can use the pro tip shown at the bottom. Configure your global settings to make rebase the default behavior for every pull. When you encounter a rebase conflict, the first and most important step is to stay calm. You are currently in a limbo state, where Git has paused its operation, giving you the necessary time to resolve the issue. Next, you need to fix the files. Open any files flagged with conflicts and locate the markers starting with several less than signs and head. Your job is to choose the correct code, merge the changes if necessary, and delete the markers themselves. Once the files are corrected, you must stage the fix. Run the command git add, followed by the name of the file. This informs Git that the conflict in that specific file has been resolved. Finally, and this is critical, run git rebase continue. It is vital that you do not run git commit. Git is designed to handle the committing process automatically during a rebase. Running a manual commit can disrupt the sequence and leave your repository in an inconsistent state. Following these steps ensures a smooth path through any rebase conflict. When performing a rebase, things can sometimes get complicated, particularly during conflict resolution. If you find yourself in a difficult position or realize that the process is not going as intended, you can use the escape hatch. Executing the command git rebase-abort will immediately stop the operation and return your branch to the exact state it was in before you started. It is a vital tool for ensuring you can always return to a safe, known state if an attempt goes wrong. Think of Git Stash as a pause button for your development process. It is the ideal solution for handling unexpected interruptions without the need to commit unfinished or broken code to your history. By using the command git stash push, accompanied by a descriptive message, you effectively move your current work in progress to a temporary shelf. As you can see in the terminal example, this leaves your working directory clean, allowing you to seamlessly switch branches, perhaps to address an urgent bug on main. A key professional practice is to always include a message with your stash. This ensures that when you return to your shelf later, you know exactly what work is waiting to be resumed. When you are ready to bring back your stashed work, you have two primary options. Option A is the git stash pop command. This is the most common approach. It applies your changes to your current working directory and then immediately removes that entry from your stash list, keeping your history clean. Polishing our commit history is an essential part of a professional development workflow, and interactive rebase is the primary tool that enables this. Think of it as a time machine for your commits, allowing you to go back and refine your work before it becomes a permanent part of the project's record. During active development, it is common to create an amateur history, filled with work-in-progress snapshots and small typo fixes. Interactive rebase allows you to clean these up into a pro history, a clear, logical narrative, before sharing your code with the team. There is, however, one critical golden rule to follow. Only run this command on local commits. You must never rewrite history that others have already pulled, as this will disrupt their workflow and cause synchronization issues. To begin refining your history, you can use the command shown here, git rebase-i head_4. This opens an interactive session to edit and organize your last 4 commits, ensuring your final contribution is polished and professional. When working within the interactive rebase editor, you use specific keywords to manage your commit history. The default keyword, pick, keeps a commit as it is, while reword allows you to keep the changes but edit the commit message. To remove a commit entirely, you can use the drop keyword. For consolidating history, squash and fixup both combine a commit into the one directly above it. While squash merges the commit messages together, fixup discards the current message to keep the final output clean. As illustrated in the editor window, applying fixup melds minor corrections into the previous commit, ensuring a streamlined and professional commit log. Let's examine how to correct a typo that has already been pushed to a remote branch, specifically when you are the sole contributor to that branch. In step 1, rectify the error in your code and stage the changes using git add. Next, instead of creating a separate commit for the correction, use git commit-amend-no edit. This command updates your previous commit with the new changes while preserving the original commit message, resulting in a cleaner project history. Finally, since the commit history has been altered, you must use a force push to update the remote repository. For enhanced safety, use git push-force with lease. This command checks if anyone else has pushed to the branch since your last fetch. If new work is detected, the operation will abort to protect their contributions from being overwritten. This cheat sheet outlines the basic Git commands required for an efficient development workflow. We begin with identity configuration using git config-global user.email, which ensures your contributions are correctly attributed. To streamline branch management, git switch-c creates and switches to a new branch simultaneously, while git switch allows you to move between existing ones. For updates, git fetch provides a safe way to download remote changes without modifying your local files. To keep your project history linear and organized, use git pull-rebase for a clean update. Finally, when performing your first push, git push-u origin, followed by the branch name, will upload your work and establish the necessary upstream tracking. This advanced workflow cheat sheet highlights essential Git commands for managing complex tasks. If you encounter conflicts during a rebase, use git rebase-continue once they are resolved to proceed. Should you need to stop the process entirely, git rebase-abort will restore your branch to its state before the rebase began. For temporary storage of work, git-push-m allows you to save changes with a descriptive message, making them easy to identify later. To reapply those changes and remove them from the stash, use git-pop. When refining your local commit history, git rebase-I head-3 opens an interactive menu for the last 3 commits, enabling you to squash or edit them as needed. Once history has been modified, use git push-force with lease to update the remote branch securely. This ensures you do not inadvertently overwrite work from other contributors. Our professional philosophy is rooted in the transition from chaos to clarity. While amateur history often presents as a messy stream of consciousness, professional history is distinguished by its structure, a clean, logical story. We believe that true expertise lies in the ability to synthesize complex information into a narrative that is both accessible and deeply coherent.